Welcome to the Nuff Said podcast. It's the summer movie series. We're talking Avengers tonight. We got a full lineup. I am rototilling Rob Southgate. With me is...
Jousting Jacqueline Grosky.
Jolting Jonathan.
And the amazing Alil.
Oh, the amazing Alil. You know what? I think we all used new ones tonight.
I
think that's a first. I think it's a first, other than the very first episode.
Very interesting.
Everyone went silent on that one. Holy cow. All right, so we're talking Avengers. Finally, we're here. Now, did everybody watch it this week?
Were we supposed to watch something?
Yeah, okay, Jack. Same joke from last week. You are Mr. I'm recycled Rob Southgate. I'm Jack's recycled jokes Rob Southgate. Okay, so I actually just watched it just before doing this podcast, and it's interesting. I want to say up front, I think that the thing we've done this summer, watching these movies in this order, plus knowing what we know happens in Phase 2, really altered this viewing of the Avengers. And unlike Alil, I think you've watched this a bunch of times, right?
Probably once a week for an entire year.
Wow, you need a life, first of all. Second of all,
Which is true.
I've seen it a couple of times, and I really love it. I watched it maybe 3 months ago. It was this viewing with the perspective of having gone through Phase 1 in order and having just seen Guardians of the Galaxy that really gave me a different view of things. And I think it's the same effect that it had. I remember when we were talking about this on, I think we did it with Thor and with Captain America, where I was saying, I'm seeing these weird threads that maybe they had put there, maybe they hadn't, but they've done a good job of going back and adding them. Same thing here. I was seeing stuff that I was going, wow, I'm seeing this a different way because of what we know happens later. Did you guys feel that at all?
Oh, I did. Absolutely. One of the things was, we were talking about the whole thing with the Infinity Stones, and, that put it kind of in a different light. Just paying a little more attention to little details. It was like, yeah, this really ties into Guardians. And, that was it. I saw it, maybe it was about a week ago, but there were things that I don't even remember having even had a reason to pay attention to. And all of a sudden it's like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it, man.
It was right there. It's, what do you call that? What do they call unconscious incompetence? You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. What did you guys think? Lil, Jonathan?
I agree with everything Jack said. What I was thinking of, not so much the extra, the galactic stuff. I guess I was thinking of, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, of all the political stuff and the Hydra stuff. I mean, when Captain America pulls out the weapon on the helicarrier, we see the helmet, and I'm pretty sure isn't that the similar, mask from...
Yeah, you're
Hydra?
talking about when he opened the case and he saw that?
Yeah.
Did you... Now, here's something interesting. When he opened that case and I saw that helmet, I swear there was a Hydra logo in that case.
Yeah, was...
There was.
There was.
Because
Have you ever noticed that before?
All those weapons were what they actually took from Hydra. Those weren't weapons.
Oh, that's what they took. Okay, because maybe it was just, there's just so much going on and I'm thinking about other stuff. I never noticed that. And tonight it stuck out like a sore thumb to me. And I was really thinking about what you were thinking about, Jonathan, about Cap 2 and about Cap's evolution. This is where he learns to not trust S.H.I.E.L.D. And that scene in particular, that has ramifications when he hits Cap 2.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Because this movie, going back and watching Avengers, basically is, like Jack was saying, I mean, there's a lot of connective tissue prior and after that you can see, and you can see how the story is going to flow. They must have had everything mapped out a lot further down than we thought.
And that's something we've talked about, when they say they've got movies until, 2027 or something mapped out.
28.
And of course they're adding things to that, but they have an overarching, they know what the overarching story is and where the end game is at that point. Doesn't mean that everything's over at that point. It just means that is an end point. Like that's probably where like Civil War or something like that happens. You know, I think they're moving chess pieces in place for some type of event that happens at that point.
Well, there's rumors that Civil War might happen a lot sooner than we're thinking.
Well, didn't we talk about that on our news one a little?
We did, but there's more news that came out this week with the Russos.
What?
With
are you talking about on the Cap 3 thing?
I am talking about some of that and then the Cap 2 stuff that they cut out the Hawkeye scene. The Hawkeye was supposed to be in that, but because Renner's schedule his schedule conflicted, and they had this whole scene with him and Cap in a battle, and kind of, I guess at that point Hawkeye kind of like leaned in and told Cap, that they had a bug on him and to kind of like knock him out, so Shield would still trust Hawkeye.
Okay.
And that led into a lot of other discussion with the Russos about going further with the story, and rumors are coming out that Cap 3 is actually going to be the end of Steve Rogers.
Well, yeah, I think that's been something we've talked about before.
But that is. But that they're talking about with that being somehow tied in with a Civil War type story, because they're talking about a lot of characters in Cap 3.
Right.
And they're talking about...
So you're thinking that's where that's going to happen.
That could be. They could be not as large.
I don't think so yet, though, and I'll tell you why.
It might be a story similar to Civil War, but it can't happen because that's not going to happen until they have the ability to put Spider-Man in it.
Never.
Because don't say never. Never say never. Come on, Lil.
I didn't say never. That was Jonathan.
Yes.
Jonathan, you said never?
Yes.
Jonathan, you're wrong.
You saw the article I posted.
Yeah. Did I believe all of it? No. I'm telling you, it's going to happen at some point.
Well,
it doesn't mean they're going to get Spider-Man back, but they're going to make a deal. There is going to be a point where there's a deal. And I don't know if we'll ever see an Avengers film with Spider-Man, but we very well could. And we very well could see, some type of crossover that would be completely unexpected. Now, Fox to Marvel or to Disney? No, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well,
but once again, I'll never say never.
I'm going to say never on Fox. Fox and Disney right now hate each other.
Right, but I'll never say never. Weirder things have happened.
Money talks.
Hey,
well, true.
McDonald's is buying Burger King. That's the big rumor.
What?
Would you ever believe that?
I don't believe that. Really?
That's a big rumor that McDonald's is making a play to buy Burger King. And if that happens, the never, ever, ever of all time would happen.
You know who Burger King just bought?
Who?
Tim Hortons.
Really?
Yeah, the biggest.
That's a donut place, right? In Canada?
Yeah, and I think they've got some over the border in the northern U.S., and I can't imagine that because there are two totally different concepts.
Right.
I mean, and it kind of made me sad because unless we happen to be looking for endorsements, not a big Burger King fan.
And it made you sad?
Yeah, because I love Tim Hortons. And the chicken sandwich at Burger King, they had to call it the BK broiler because legally they couldn't call it chicken.
Right.
All right, but that's a whole other podcast. But
yeah, no kidding. Welcome to Jack's Fast Food Rant.
Speaking of
fast food podcasts.
Yeah, 41 podcasts.
Right.
We're just talking
Number
about
41 is where the Southgate Media Group jumped the shark.
Yeah. You think that's where it jumped the shark? Really?
No. I think it was the minute we brought a Lil on.
No.
Oh. Ouch.
Wow.
I had to get that shot in.
The outsider always gets the little punch in the gut.
That's right.
Well, going back to the tie-ins, now, what Jonathan was talking about was some of the Hydra weapons. What about when Hydra came in and raided the, what did they call that? The cube or...
The Tesseract?
Not the Tesseract, but when they raided the SHIELD warehouse and got all the weapons, a lot of the...
Wait, are you talking on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, right. We're talking about Avengers right now, but...
Well, I'm going back to that because they raided some of those items from Avengers. Because one of the... and that goes right back to Avengers because the... remember, what is that? The little item... Was that item 47?
Yeah.
At that little short. Wasn't that part of that raid?
Yes.
Yes. So these are little fingers and tie-ins all over. Now, my question is this part of the overreaching plan, the whole arc, or is this going to be like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going to be a little repository for that? Or, is that really part of the time? Because, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's already part of Avengers. You've got, S.H.I.E.L.D., which really has already ties in with Avengers, and maybe will even tie in with Guardians of the Galaxy.
When we saw Tony Stark go into space on this, I was freaking out. I wanted Guardians of the Galaxy to happen right there.
Yeah, I think...
it's funny because we talked about that before, but it was on this viewing when he went into space and we saw that ship up there. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, he's going to the Guardians in the next movie. It's going to happen.
Right, because that doesn't pertain to Asgard in any way. So right. You don't have a link there. The only other link you have right now is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, pretty sweet, man.
Well, and
I'm dying
also
for that to happen.
And also, Iron Man's part of the Guardians in the comic books.
Right. But this made me go, oh yeah, that's going to happen. By Guardians 2, Iron Man's going to be in it, unless, who knows what's going to happen with Robert Downey Jr. and what they're going to do there. They're going to recast him at some point. Is there going to be a flux here between Guardians 2 and Avengers 3? I mean, we don't know. But maybe Guardians 3 is where it happens.
Listening to Downey talk recently, he's been talking a lot about Marvel movies. He's been interviewed all over the place talking about Guardians, talking about his favorite movies, talking about characters that should be in movies. He's pushing for a Hulk movie.
I'll tell you what, he's positioning himself to get a producer credit on stuff is what he's doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he's going to... I know a lot of us thought, especially after Iron Man 3 and the contract, so he only signed for 2, he's not coming back. I think this is just a money play. He's just going to keep doing it until he can. I mean, because...
I would agree with that. I think that what he's going to do is he's going to move himself into more of a producer position, almost being like a Stan Lee, where you expect him to pop up in these things. Maybe he'll do his tentpole movie, but then he'll just be making these little appearances and be cashing in the whole time. If he gets a producer credit, like Jon Favreau's name was on Avengers.
Yep, and Iron Man 3.
Right.
Producer.
That's because he got a producer credit that holds true for everything. He never has to do anything more. His contract just has that producer credit. That could happen with Junior also. He could make that happen where it's more of an open-ended thing. Then it's not a 9-picture deal. Then it's you are part of the franchise.
Right. I do think that's going to happen.
I do too. I mean, watching him in this was an excellent Iron Man movie.
Oh yeah. And
I actually thought this was an excellent movie for each character other than Hawkeye. Hawkeye didn't really have anything to do, but it made me Jones for that Black Widow movie. I thought it was an excellent Hulk movie, an excellent Thor movie, excellent Cap movie.
And I think the difference between Robert Downey Jr. and Cap is that, or Iron Man and Cap, is that Iron Man, that Tony Stark character, you can take really way into middle age with that. And I don't think you can do that with Cap being the kind of shape. Like, the reality is, anytime you got to do this movie, you got to trim down and bulk up seriously for this kind of thing. And I can't imagine, having to do that, over a span like.
It's got to be brutal.
It's got to be brutal.
I mean, look at Hugh Jackman. I mean, he goes through just an enormous regimen to get ready for Wolverine. At some point when people are like, oh, he's going to retire from Wolverine and what a crime, he should keep doing it. It's like, dude, how much more of that does he have in him?
Yeah, I mean, he's already said he's done with that. And I'm wondering if the Cap thing isn't very similar, but the Iron Man, all the action stuff is in the suit.
Yep.
Right.
So, he doesn't have to stay.
So, there's hope. You and I can be Iron Man in the future because we're built just like the suit.
Yeah, I'm not built like the suit. They're going to need a potbelly stove to get me into something.
Maybe you could be Rusty Iron Man.
Yeah, there you go.
I bet if you went through all the different, Mach 18 and, all the different versions of Iron Man suits, I bet we'd find some that we'd fit in.
And maybe there's the Hulkbuster.
Yeah,
the Hulkbuster. Oh, he's called you the Hulkbuster.
Hollowed out Hulkbuster.
Aluminum Foil 3, starring Rob Southgate and Lil.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a production by our company.
Podcast to follow.
I was just saying the 40-second podcast.
Oh, man.
Ouch.
We did jump a shark. So I also thought it was a good Loki movie.
I think it was the best Loki movie. I mean, I think this movie put Hiddleston on the map.
I do too, because we talked about it with Thor, how much we enjoyed Loki in that, but this was such a better performance.
Right.
I mean, this he owned this.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the only thing I didn't like was that he was the secondary villain. Even though he was supposedly primary, the strings were being pulled, and we never really saw who he was working with. And I would have liked to see the bigger bad, or let Loki just be on this wild power trip and not have somebody that's pulling the strings, have him think he's pulling the strings. But this was very much like I was getting a Superman vibe off of this. The older Superman movies of the of Lex Luthor, how he was, he makes the deal with General Zod, and it's like, I just want to own some land. I got that feeling off of Loki. Like, oh, you let me be ruler of this, and you can have the rest of the galaxy. And that to me was that took a little shine off of it. I think that if Loki could have been just full bore Loki in this thing, think he's in charge of the Chitauri, think he's doing all this, think he's going to double cross these guys, and then he gets double crossed, that would have been a much stronger villain story. Yeah. And that's what I think was the only misstep here.
Yeah, I agree. He did kind of seem like that subordinate bad guy. However, he's really, like, Thanos was really kind of pulling the strings, but wasn't Thanos really kind of pulling some of those strings in Thor too?
With which?
Now when he went,
basically, are you talking Thor 1 or Thor 2?
I think it's Thor 2. When he's promising wasn't it? I mean, wasn't Thanos really kind of central to that?
No, Thanos hasn't been central yet.
Yeah,
Thanos was in Guardians, and he's the one that the other guy betrayed. I can't think of anybody's names right now. We're not doing the Guardians. Ronan, yeah. He was the guy Ronan was the one that betrayed Thanos. We got to see Thanos there, but this was the first time we saw Thanos at the beginning of this. And then the only other time we've seen him was when he was flying around in the chair in Guardians.
See,
he has not been central yet.
With Loki in Avengers, I kind of got the same vibe that I got from Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I'm going to use you to get what I need.
Yeah, but I think Ronan he struck back more. Loki didn't seem like he struck back. He seemed like he was kind of a puppy to whoever was pulling his strings at some point. I got the Lex Luthor, I just want my piece of land vibe.
I got you, because you're right. I mean, because he said, when him and Thor were fighting on Stark Tower, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And you think he's going to give you what you want, and him saying that these people are meant to be ruled and all that. Right. That does make sense, and I agree with that. But I think with Hiddleston's performance on this, where you see him interact with, I can't remember the other guy's name. I keep wanting to say Annihilus, but I know it's not Annihilus.
Yeah. It's the guy that was his go-between with the Chitauri.
I think it was the other. I can't remember. But like that interaction, I always thought that. Maybe it's just me thinking that I'm seeing this with Loki's eyes, that he was always going to double cross them once he got the army, because he needed the army.
Very well could be, but we didn't see that moment.
Exactly, we didn't get to it.
I think that's where there was the slight misstep. Like we know better than Joss Whedon, right? But I think that was the only thing that I think was the slight misstep. I thought, as far as Loki went, this was a Loki movie. It was excellent.
And going back to that, I found Thor: The Dark World Prelude.
Yeah,
there's a meeting between Loki, Thanos, and the Other.
Thanos is in that?
That's what it says. Frigga, the adoptive mother of Loki, observed the meeting between Loki, Thanos, and the Other. And that's
the Other is the one that you're talking about, Balil.
Yeah. So there's
well, there must have been a little Thanos scene. I just don't remember Thanos being in there.
Was that a comic?
That might be the.
Oh, no, there's no way, because this was the first time. Guardians of the Galaxy is the first time that Josh Brolin played Thanos. It's the first time that we had an actor in that role. In the first one, I don't even know who played Thanos. It was not who was intended to be Thanos.
Yeah,
so
that might be the comic, but I swear there was a tie-in there.
Well, there might be a tie-in. There might have been something said, but
the only
he was definitely not there.
The only tie-in from the first Thor was the Infinity Gauntlet, but Thor 2 was all about the Ether and the Dark Elves. And they had nothing to do with Thanos.
Right. No, I guess I must be mixing that up with the comic series.
Yeah, you must be, because in the comics, it definitely gets a lot deeper into that stuff. But Thor 2, I don't remember any of that whatsoever.
Okay, I found it. It's the Dark World Prelude. It was a 2-part digital comic.
Ah, okay.
And it's supposed
and that thing can trip you up because some of those things tie in so strongly. It is what they intend you to read.
Right. It's supposed to be. It's actually it's after Thor, leading up to the Avengers and bridging the gap leading up to Thor: The Dark World.
Interesting.
So there is a tie-in, but it wasn't in the movies. It was actually in the comics. So that's
right.
my bad. Apologies.
So, Alil, you mentioned the other and that whole thing. I just wanted to point out that in Guardians of the Galaxy, we do see the other again.
Yep, and he gets his neck broken.
And he gets his neck broken like that. So once again, you've got the guy who's essentially the big bad. We know that Thanos really is, but when we saw Avengers, I mean, if you didn't know who Thanos was, if you didn't know what he was, you would have assumed that the other was the one that was really pulling the strings with all of this. And then by the time it hits Galaxy, he's just completely neutered to the point that he's killed. So he becomes irrelevant, which once again, I would have liked a better choice of Loki being a crazy bad guy here.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but I think we got some of that crazy, especially early on when he took down S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, like...
Yeah, I'm not criticizing real hard here. I'm just...
I know what you mean. I mean,
playing fanboy.
Well, you know, he was the one that took out Coulson. So, you know, really from the fan base, he is really one of our biggest bad guys right now.
Sure.
You know, and you know, the only thing I got a little tired of was the illusions. It was like, how many times does Thor get tricked by
Although it was great when he said that, like, how many times you're going to fall for that?
Well, yeah, I mean, he called him out for it. So, I mean,
right.
It was pretty funny.
So that was good. Thor just seems to endlessly fall for that. We know that from Thor 2 also.
Right.
Now, Jonathan, were there any parts that you were having a problem with, like we're talking about, or was it all just, roses for you?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, I was still, at the very beginning, I'm still a little unclear about the guy who's pulling the strings, the guy on the hood,
That's the other.
Yeah, I was a little unclear about that, but after that, I kind of just forgot about him and kind of just went with Loki wanted to take over the world. Just a fun movie, and that's what I kind of just, looked at it as. And then, of course, we'll later in movies learn a lot more about all this intergalactic stuff. But from right now, just with the Avengers, I just had a good time. And Tom Hiddleston is great. I mean, compared to some of our other villains who are pretty, just very flat, he is the most three-dimensional character in this film, I think.
I can see that point.
So
I can definitely see that point. Hey, I'm going to shift gears here. I got a question because I'm trying to figure this out. You guys notice the waitress that they keep showing?
She was supposed to have a bigger part.
Is she the one that's supposed to end up being like Cap's girlfriend at some point? Isn't that what they originally said?
I don't know if that was it. I think she was supposed to have a bigger part with Cap. See, when Joss Whedon first started filming and writing this movie, it was supposed to be Cap's movie, really. It was supposed to be from Cap's view. He was supposed to be our in.
Okay.
And a lot of it, like they filmed scenes with Agent Carter, kind of what they did in the Cap 2. They did some stuff with that. They did a little bit here.
It was supposed to be her older.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be in here, and it wasn't. They saved that for Cap 2.
Right. And like that whole waitress, like they were supposed to have a big scene together about him kind of trying to fit into this new world, because it was supposed to be that, fish out of water kind of feel for him, because we didn't really get that in this. So we got a little bit of it. There's a couple dropped lines here and there from Nick Fury, trying to get back in the world. I don't
think there was time for it, and I really don't think it was necessary here, because he was just thrown in the mix.
Well, I agree. That's why they went that way. Like, they started doing that and storyboarding, and they filmed some scenes, and then it just didn't work. It didn't fit with an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Well, they
another
saved it
thing
for Cap 2, and it worked.
I mean, I think another thing to say is that this movie is 100. The running time is 140 minutes, and
Right.
which is very, which is pretty rare for a comic book movie. They rarely go more than 120 or 130 minutes. So, I mean, I just don't.
Oh, not true. I think all the Dark Knight movies and a lot
Well,
of the latter movies
no, I was just about to say that. I was, except for the Batman movies. I mean, I think.
Not true. Howard the Duck. Running time 100. No, I'm kidding.
But as far as all the Marvel movies, Marvel Studios, what I'm saying is the Marvel Studios movies, for the most part, really didn't go across that.
Right. Well, and this one was so huge because, let's face it, you had a huge cast of big personality characters. You don't want to shortchange anybody, and they really didn't, other than Hawkeye.
Right.
I think Hawkeye, and I would also say that Selvig, who's obviously not one of the Avengers, but I think Selvig's character was just used as a plot device. And I think when we saw him in Thor 2, he got used much better. And we saw you want to keep this guy in the picture. Forget Jane Foster. Let's get more Selvig.
Yeah, more pantsless Selvig.
Pantsless Selvig.
Yeah.
He had his pants on the whole time.
I know, I was disappointed.
Ferrell. He's the Will Ferrell of the Marvel Universe. He's supposed to have no pants on.
Hashtag pantsless Selvig.
I love that.
Let's get it trending.
Get it trending. Yep, we just jumped the shark there too. Finally, I've been waiting for this show to jump the shark.
Shoo.
And it's always me bringing up pantsless people, and
Yeah, what's up with that? Well, Jonathan's hashtagging it. You're talking about pantsless Selvig. What's up with that?
I don't know.
Is that a euphemism?
Yeah,
Is that a euphemism for something? I've got a pantsless Selvig here.
You know it is. Oh, Jonathan just threw up. So I do have to say, and we've said this a million times, so it's probably boring to everybody, but I love Black Widow in this, and I enjoyed her in Iron Man when she showed up there, Iron Man 2. I absolutely love the scenes with Black Widow in this. We know that she's great in Cap 2. I know they've been doing all the rumors that she's going to get a movie. Would they just freaking announce a Black Widow movie and make this happen? Because she's not going to have as big a part in Avengers 2. There's just no way. They gave her her secondary star turn in Cap 2. And they're going to give Hawkeye his secondary star turn in Cap 3. So please make that Black Widow movie. I mean, do you guys think the same thing I do? I love this character.
I mean, I definitely, I'd see any Marvel Studios movie. I mean, she's probably not, on my top of my list because I guess I'm more interested, because in the world of aliens and these crazy, powerful intergalactic creatures, it's hard to kind of look at her as like the central character in this world of these monsters. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just, but yeah.
I just think that it's a refreshing story. I think that her in a real dark espionage story. And Jonathan, aren't you the one that had the perfect idea? If you want her to be in this world of monsters, show us the Winter Soldier story.
That was me.
That was you. Okay.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I don't want to see a connective story now with Black Widow. I want to see a prequel with Black Widow where like we were talking about before, get some, we've got Winter Soldier for 1 billion movies, so you could throw him in that. You could throw in other characters. You can make it that espionage type movie, kind of like Cap 2 was. There's no alien or even really superpowers outside of Cap. And
I don't even want it to be just espionage. I want it to be like a James Bond movie with her.
Yeah,
where you always like James Bond does cool stuff, but like if James Bond had the powers she has, because they're not superpowers, but I mean, come on. She does stuff above what a James Bond could do.
I don't know if you've seen this at all, but 14 hours ago, MTV.com, MTV News just posted an article.
Okay.
It says Robert Downey Jr. wants a solo movie for Black Widow, parenthesis, and every other Avenger. So what he's saying is his opinion on whether they should do a Black Widow film. His initial response is, doesn't Scarlett deserve a break? His point is, anything she does, people want to go see it. But the big problem, in his opinion, that really every Avenger really kind of deserves, that kind of movie. And what he says is there are simply too many characters who deserve their own full-fledged Marvel studio movie.
Right. Well, that's what Stan Lee said this week too. He said he expects all the characters at some point to have their own feature.
Right.
I mean, that's a hell of a lot of characters. That's a whole movie industry in and of itself.
But the bottom line is right now, Scarlett Johansson is having a baby, but once she's done with that, anything she's touched has just gone ballistic. She's great to watch. She's great with the characters as an action character. She's not she doesn't have like the character draw I think that some of the others do. As far as, like the average public, they're going to know Hulk. They're going to know Iron Man 3. They're going to know, Avengers. But this is Scarlett Johansson, and I think that trumps a whole lot of other things right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I want to see this happen.
Yeah.
They keep talking about Ms. Marvel, and I think it would be great to see a Ms. Marvel thing, but I think they got to do Black Widow first.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think with Scarlett, behind the name, it's you've got to get while the getting's good.
Yeah, especially after Lucy. I mean, especially how well that movie was received and how well she did in it. I think it proved right there that she alone can carry a movie like this.
Oh,
well, what's interesting about her is that a lot of times action stars are not necessarily really excellent actors, and she really is. So she's able to be this action star, but the whole time like this, she could end up being an Oscar winner at some point because she is an excellent actress.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She played she was great in Her, and she just played a cell phone, or a AI.
Yeah,
she was great in that.
I mean, when you look at that, I mean, right there, you've got somebody. You could have another Oscar winner being one of your solo film people, just like Downey.
Now, did you see? Was it? I think it was Don John. It was like the most awful movie I've seen in quite a while.
Oh yeah, the one with what was it? Who's that guy?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was. I didn't know what they were going for there because I just couldn't. I couldn't put the movie together, and it was just like the subject material, I hate to use the pun, but you couldn't pull for the guy.
Yeah.
but
explicit rating.
Oh my God.
I think I disguised that well enough. But I tell you, the one thing I got out of that movie was, oh my God, Scarlett Johansson was awesome. How bad was that movie? But she was the only fun part about that whole thing. I mean, it's the only reason I didn't demand my money and my time back. And it was Scarlett.
Who are you gonna get your time back from?
I don't know, but
I just want to know what you're thinking.
Well,
You're that guy. You go up to the theater owner. I want my money and my time back. I'm not leaving till you give it to me.
I wasn't until I saw that movie.
I enjoy Scarlett Johansson, and I'm not pulling for the guy.
I tell you, I wasn't like that at all until I saw that movie. But going back to Scarlett Johansson, without getting too much off topic, Rob Southgate.
Yeah.
That she was the only bright spot in that 2 hours of hell.
All right.
Wow.
So I guess bringing it back to the movie, let her do Black Widow. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. So let's go back to the movie for a second. Let's kind of break it down the way we have in the past with the other ones. Let's start with you, Jonathan. What would you say was like favorite scene in this movie? What really stood out?
I mean, for me, it's the one that always makes you smile is when the Avengers are all in the circle.
Yeah, that iconic image.
Yeah, the iconic image when you see all the pictures and stuff. I always smile when that that, and they're all like looking around.
Yeah, very cool.
And then Cap starts giving orders. And it's awesome. So that's my plus. And then another one is the when Hulk takes Loki and throws him around like a rag doll. That's the other one.
Yeah, everybody loves that one.
Puny God.
How about you, Alil? What would you say is your favorite scene?
God, this is tough. I don't know if I have a favorite scene. I love the whole movie.
Give us a couple. Okay.
Well, I mean, the scenes that Jonathan just said are great. I do love.
Good thing I went first.
That's right.
I do love the banter between Loki and Tony Stark before the big battle in New York when he gets the bracelet, the bracelets on for the armor.
Yeah.
I love that back and forth. I thought that was really great, especially with both of them, because to me it showed the range that Hiddleston has as an actor, that he actually can kind of sit there with Downey and kind of
he's going toe to toe with
forth.
Downey there,
Yeah.
who's in his element, and he's handling himself really well.
Yeah, and that was great. And trying to think of another great scene. I think the Incredible Hulk yelling at Tony Stark after he catches him, and then Downey asking if anybody kissed him when he was out. I thought that was great.
Right.
I was laughing.
That might be the best joke
time.
in it. How about you, Jack?
My favorite one, and I was gonna open this up with a Jack. I was gonna say my favorite part is when he does the dance in front of Thanos.
Yeah, that would be a Jack.
But no, for real, my favorite part was at the end of Jonathan's favorite scene, and it was that very specific part at when Cap is barking out the orders, and he's all finished, and he looks at Hulk, and everything pauses for that second, and he says, "And Hulk, smash!" and just that big grin on the Hulk. It was just like that captured the essence of the Avengers to me. Hulk smash.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of the definitive moment, because so many people walked out of this movie talking about the Hulk. And it was really like that, and then him whipping Loki around as a ragdoll that really just got people going, why isn't there a good Hulk movie? I think they're wrong. I think there has been.
Well, and I think there's two elements to this. I think that they didn't do a great job in some of the other, or as well a job with Banner. Because Banner is the other half of the Hulk, where this is the first time in a long time where I really felt like, the Banner wanted to get away from the big guy. That
the Banner performance was fantastic.
It was, and you really felt like, the Hulk even protected Banner from himself. I mean, he couldn't even do himself off when he wanted to, because the Hulk will pop up, and you just that whole human element has to be part of the Hulk. It's not just the green guy.
Right. And that actual line I thought was interesting. When I saw this movie, I hadn't seen the alternate intro to the Hulk.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until we did our podcast that I went back and watched it. That's where we see him try to commit suicide.
Oh, right.
And we see him say, he tried to kill himself, and Hulk crushes the gun. And they didn't put it in the movie, but it's a really interesting intro. And here he makes a reference to it. I thought that was cool.
It was cool. And not only that, but Loki was using that. Loki, he had foreseen that having the Hulk was that one element that was going to take, the Avengers kind of out of the mix.
Right.
All you have to do is make him unstable in this thing, and
right. And he can take them all out for me.
Right, and they all saw it coming, but they didn't. In the end, it was so subtle, and it was just every element that you wanted to see, almost in a Hulk movie, was within the Avengers.
Yeah, I'm with you. So my favorites are actually a little different. Even though everything you said, I loved, and I loved it. You know what I mean? The one that got me was, I'm trying to think if it's a specific scene, because I think I'm mixing a couple up, but it was when they were first together, and they were all in the room on the helicarrier, and they were all having their little banter back and forth. And they were all kind of, testing each other's limits and being real snarky with each other and jabbing at each other. And to me, that just was like a scene. When I watched through, I fast forwarded at certain parts because I was trying to get to certain scenes, and it was like I kept bringing myself back to that scene. That's what's telling me that's one of my favorite scenes in the film. I do love that iconic image, Jonathan. I love when the Hulk goes nuts and he chases Black Widow around. I mean, that is a really intense scene. I don't love when Iron Man has to get the
fan going, like flying around in the fan. That was very much out of the comics. Like I'm watching that going like, okay, that's one of those, to me, that was a little hokey.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's cool to watch, but the scene, the other scene going on is Scarlett Johansson getting chased down by the Hulk and he's raging out. That was really fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's funny.
I really think that my favorite thing is when they are all together. I don't know if it's a particular scene or if it's just those early scenes of them all in the room. And the ending part of that is when Cap and Iron Man are fighting, basically. And he's saying, "You want me to put on the suit?" And then he goes, and then boom, Hawkeye blows up the side of the helicarrier and he goes, "Put on the suit." I was like, man, that was just, oh God, I just loved it.
What
I
a
loved
transition.
the whole thing. Yeah, it was great.
And and during that whole banter, the one of the biggest elements was the Infinity Stone, in Loki's scepter. And that's what caused the banter. And
okay, let's talk about that.
That's huge. That's not a small detail.
Is that an Infinity Stone in his scepter?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it like the soul gem? That's what I heard, that it might be that.
That's what that's what I think, that's what I heard. But there's a couple different theories. But absolutely, that's the one in his scepter is in a large part is where Loki got a lot of those powers.
Okay, what do you think, Alil? Because I actually am now thinking it's not.
I'm with you. I don't know if it is. I don't think it can. It just makes no sense to me that Thanos is out there trying to get these stones, and yet he's going to give one to Loki.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like, he's just walking around with it in this stick. I don't think that's an Infinity Gem. I think it's something else.
I mean,
I really don't think it is. I think he would. There's no way Thanos would let him walk around with that thing.
I'm with you on that. I'd have a hard time believing it, but if they do make it an Infinity Stone, that's fine. I think it's an easy way out for Avengers 2, because we see at the end of Cap 2 that Baron von Strucker has the scepter. So I mean, maybe that's what it is, but I still have a hard time believing it is. I think it's
so. How many? So what's the current tally? How many have we actually?
Well, we know that
three.
That's what I thought.
Right, and there's 6 total, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now wait, what are the 3? We know the Ether,
the Tesseract, the Ether,
Tesseract,
and Guardians.
Yeah, the thing in Guardians. Those are the 3. Now, if you add Loki's, pokey stick in there, that's 4. But we also know there's a 5th, or there's either the 4th or the 5th, is inside of the guy that was inside the cocoon in. They didn't show it yet, but
Adam Warlock.
Comics, yeah, it's Adam Warlock has it inside of the cocoon.
Oh yeah,
and that was in the Collector's collection.
That got blown up,
right? But that's where one of them is. So I mean, that if Loki's thing is number 4 at this point, and number 5 is in there, that means there's only one more unaccounted for. I don't believe that.
Well, there's an article here with a quote, and now Baron Strucker says of Loki's scepter, it's worth more than any of them ever knew, which, it may imply that the scepter wasn't just tapping the Tesseract's power, but it could be, if it was given to him by Thanos might just see Loki as, look, I've got to give him a little bit of power to do the job, but whenever I want...
Would he give him an Infinity Gem? I don't think so.
But without... If he got him to do what he wanted Loki to do and get the Tesseract, then, it's just a matter of getting it back whenever he wants. But Kevin Feige, in an interview, they ask, is that an Infinity Stone, or are we to believe that it's another Infinity Stone, or is it just pure speculation? Feige says, that's Feige. The horses, Feige. Sorry, humus. I get that wrong too.
Okay.
That's another story, another podcast, 43.
Oh God.
Maybe another network.
He says
pronounced words.
Dude, I'd be the star of that. But he says, I'm not even sure if we recognize Loki's scepter as an Infinity Stone, but that's a big hint as to what will be causing them trouble in the next movie. So, I guess that says they're not even sure yet, or at least they're not.
Oh, they're sure.
Right, but
they're sure.
They're not ready to tell us. So it might be, or it might not be.
Right.
I'm glad
it will be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I'm glad I answered that question definitively.
Would it be crazy?
We're nothing if not accurate and definitive on this show.
If not.
Wouldn't it be crazy to see if they introduced an Infinity Stone in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh, there's no way.
Just saying. I mean, you got Coulson mapping something out. Maybe it's a way to a stone.
It could be. But I have a feeling it's going to be something completely different.
Or
it might be, like I said before, it might lead them to what they need to do.
Patton Oswalt's carrying it around.
He's got it.
Yeah. He's carrying it around his pocket.
It's in his pocket. Yeah.
Well,
no, he's got it on a lanyard.
Yep, the lanyard.
So, isn't now Warlock's cocoon? When they showed that, wasn't he supposed to be one of the holders of the Infinity Stone, or no?
Yeah, he's got one in that cocoon.
So maybe they've already kind of unleashed it, which says, okay, it's in the movie, and they start to track it down in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that ties into the next part of the next movie. What if that, because it's already, the cocoon already says, okay, we know one was in there, and now the cocoon is empty, so that cat's out of the bag. You could open that up for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then, have all hell break loose in the actual movie.
Okay.
So you could actually uncover, you could, quote, find a stone and yet leave the movie intact.
Okay.
My theory.
Are we all with that?
Yeah.
Sure. Here's your producer credit.
Once again. Oh, nice. Jack got a producer credit. I'm still struggling over here.
I'll take it. Hey, it's not the first time I've called some of these things.
No, it's not.
Actually,
it's not.
Well, we were having like a big old laugh at one of the round tables, and like 2 weeks later, it like came true. I was sitting back going, "Yeah, okay." Laugh now, round table.
I'll tell you what you didn't get right is Halle Berry showing up as Catwoman in this.
Oh, I didn't say it. I just said I wanted it. I didn't say it would happen. There's a difference.
Halle Berry.
What I did get wrong is Kevin Feige.
Right.
Many times.
At one point we both got it really wrong, and Jonathan actually sent us an audio clip correcting us.
Yes.
I just never got it on one of the shows, but that was before you were ever on one of these, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just drove me nuts.
That's so funny.
Which one was it?
Which one? What?
With the correction.
It was him correcting both of us for calling him Feig or something.
Feige.
Feige.
Yeah, it's not a Fig Newton.
Oh, Fig Newtons are so good, though. Let's talk about Fig Newtons.
Podcast 44.
Yep.
Hey, we should get like some huge ratings now because we are like a mega podcast network now.
That's right. All based off of this particular podcast.
Well, and we've created like 4 right during this one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no.
Can I quote you on that?
Yeah. So what else do we have to talk about with Avengers? I mean, I think this was, as much as I thought this was going to be the big, most focused one of these, I think this was the least focused one we've done.
Well, I think it's because everyone has seen this movie and everyone loves this movie. I mean, even with the things that aren't great, I'm going to say that Shatari, they weren't great.
Yeah.
But it was such a fun movie. I mean, Jonathan said it before. I mean, it's just a fun movie. I mean, you could sit back, you get everything you want just about from every character except Hawkeye. I mean, he does at the end have some cool scenes, but not like the other.
I actually appreciated Hawkeye more in this one by the end on this viewing than I have in the past. In the past, I just really haven't noticed him a lot. And this one, I don't know. I found myself watching Hawkeye more and enjoying, like when he was shooting arrows off of the building.
Yeah.
I thought, it kind of made me go, man, I want to see more Hawkeye. But I've said that I want to see him do the current run of comics as a movie. I want to see him do that as a Netflix show.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Where he owns the apartment building and everything. I love that. That would be a way to do something interesting with the character.
I was almost, and I kind of see why they could do it because it really gave Loki that in, but I was almost kind of disappointed that he was on Loki's team for that amount of time because I really wanted to see more of him.
You know what, though?
Well, we are going to get him in the other movies.
I agree with you there, but I kind of liked it for the throwback because Hawkeye was a villain when he started out.
Right.
So
yeah, and I think they alluded that to the what did they say? The there's a lot of red in there's a lot of red in
Ledger.
your book,
Yeah.
red in your ledger, and they actually kind of they make reference to it. So it did make sense. I guess I wanted to see, like Rob said, I would have liked to see a little more, but man, he just had every kind of like, right when he led the team is, hey, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. And, he just, he's the kind of guy you want on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Not when he's a bad guy.
Not when he's a bad guy, but man, how he was effective though.
as a bad guy,
He
he
was.
was, man. He took down a helicarrier with one arrow.
I know.
Yeah, I'm still puzzled about that, but I kind of just go with it. I kind of suspend my disbelief.
Right.
Well,
It did have a small nuclear warhead on it. What did you say?
There's a Hulk in this movie. There's, a god. When did you not suspend your disbelief?
Right. Good point, Lil.
Let's
There's
just say
flying helicarriers. I mean, I don't know.
Well played.
let's just say
Yeah.
they're definitely a design flaw in the helicarrier.
Well, yeah, we saw that in Cap 2 as well. I mean,
Yeah. So anyway, down with the helicarrier, up with Cap.
there you go.
I guess
What?
that's
Up with Cap?
up with Cap, down with the helicarrier.
And
Another quote from Jack.
note to Don Juan or Don Juan.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Don John, I think.
Don John, yeah, whatever.
Don John.
Don
Jack's movie
Quixote.
reviews just slide in everywhere here.
Good God, that was bad. I forgot how bad a movie that really was, and it's just all coming back. I'll have to do like podcast number 45 on just how bad that movie was.
Go to your happy place.
Yeah, go to your happy place, Jack.
Helicarrier. Oh, Halle Berry. Okay, we're
There
back.
you go. Now he's back.
Halle Berry back in Catwoman 2, The Revenge of Catwoman.
Oh,
God,
no.
that was so terrible.
Oh, please.
That's so
And the
funny.
subject of the movie will be Catwoman takes out the writers of Catwoman #1.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Now I might be in.
We'll think on it.
Have it be really meta. You know?
Maybe a lot of writers. There's like, I don't know how many people worked on that script, that Catwoman script. It was like 20 or 30, I think.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
there's
that's why it's so screwed up that people just kept writing, passing it on, writing, passing it on.
Well, maybe they could make it, like an opus. Like, make it like 6 hours of Catwoman killing all these guys. Make it a Netflix
I was
miniseries.
gonna say it could be like Kill Bill, where she just has a list and you see her taking them all out.
I'm in.
Yes.
And get him to direct it.
Hey, Quentin.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. I like that. Quentin.
Kill Catwoman. Or,
Yeah, he does like a meta Catwoman movie. Suddenly, I'm interested in the whole thing.
Man, we're gonna have to make this ourselves. This could be our little project.
We'll do it on Kickstarter. We got to
Oh,
have a Kickstarter going.
Project 72. Okay, we'll get right on that.
After
That's
Spider-Man 68.
Spider-Man 68. We also have, well, you guys never heard this, but way back, Jack and and Martha, I think, talked about doing a Bob and Doug Meet the Werewolf movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you even made a Facebook group for that.
I did, but I meant to do a fan page, and so that
But it's just you and I on there.
I know it's awesome. I want to leave that.
Followers.
It's just the two of us.
I know. I'm just gonna leave that. But yeah, there's got to be.
Is that still on here?
Yeah, I've never taken it down.
Oh, that's awesome.
I completely left it. But yeah, we have to have a real one and get a thing going. So we were talking about the Avengers, right?
Yeah, I think
Were
we
we?
were.
Yeah, I don't know. Were we?
I think
Not
we've
really.
beaten that.
Yeah, don't make me fall into the Bob and Doug McKenzie rabbit hole. Oh, I love it. Why don't they show up in one of these movies?
That would be awesome. A little cameo.
Oh, please, that'd be awesome. So, did you guys see the thing about Stan Lee? What his cameo was supposed to be in Guardians?
Yes.
No.
That was fantastic. I'm so sorry they didn't do that.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's a Disney property now. So, and they're they're putting a ton into Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, they're coming out with a new cartoon. The characters are going to be at both parks because Universal has no hold on the Guardians characters, so it makes sense. You don't want
how much longer do they have that contract? It's only a matter of time, right?
No, it's like continuous. It's continuously going as long as they continue to update the park. And since they updated the Spider-Man ride, like it just extended the contract. It's kind of like the movie contracts. And they tried to sell it. Actually, before they updated the Spider-Man ride, they tried to sell it back to Disney, but I guess their price was way too high.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I heard about that.
Interesting.
You know, one thing I'd like to mention is one of my favorite things about Avengers is the Pepper Potts, Tony Stewart. I mean,
I think
Tony
that's
Stewart.
affecting you.
Yeah, Tony Stewart.
NASCAR podcast number 47.
So, I mean, I think I just love their moments, especially, she's like, 12%,
Oh yeah, that was great. It's like when he said this is 12% your job or 12% your building.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was all really good.
I mean, like his first name is Agent.
Right. Yeah, I think that's another interesting thing when you start seeing, once again, after having watched Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and then going into this in such a short time frame, seeing the evolution of Pepper Potts and seeing the evolution of their relationship. When you think about Tony in that first movie, why she wanted anything to do with him after that, I don't know. But it grew. It became something else, and it was cool.
She liked the big desk.
I'm sorry.
She liked the big
rating on this.
She liked the big desk being.
You said desk.
Yes.
I was so like, wait a second. What?
Yeah, you were skating an edge there, Jonathan. Yeah. What about that thing remember the thing she had on her desk? I wish that had made a cameo in this.
Little like ball thing?
Yeah, that ball thing that he got all annoyed by. That would have been fun, but alas. So are we done with this movie?
I think it's a dead horse.
I was going to say, yeah, I think so.
I think we are. I think we actually completed phase 1. So why don't we wrap it up, unless you guys have any final thoughts on it?
Not I.
I guess one thing I just say is that
I knew there was a final thought.
I'd say that any writers, directors who want to be involved with the comic book movie, go to the internet, print out this script, study frame by frame, whatever aspect you want to be involved with the comic book film, because it's basically perfect. I mean, there's just so much rich stuff about this, whether it's the script or the special effects or what have you, I mean,
it's that multiple viewings, I think, that really is important. And I don't know if I would have said that before. I mean, I enjoy the movie. I love it, but it's this experience that we've gone through that's really had the biggest effect, where I'm watching it going, I'm picking out so much subtlety and so many interesting things here that I didn't see before. So yeah, you're right, Jonathan.
And another thing is that what's interesting about this film is there's not really a central protagonist. It's really the team that is the protagonist, which is pretty, which is kind of a risky thing, because usually you want to have...
And it's very balanced, too. Yeah. I think it's because Joss Whedon was a TV showrunner, and he knows how to run a cast like that to give everybody their due.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that makes it so special. He's very different than most movie directors, per se, would be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed. All right. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening, everybody. You can find past episodes of this and all of our podcasts, including our summer series where we went through phase 1, at our website, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can also find all of our social media there. Why don't you guys give your Twitter handles a little? Let's start with you, because you're the one that is from another network. Although you're kind of part of this network now too. Don't tell Steve and Sean.
My Twitter handle is at LOGEEKZ, and that stands for my first podcast, the League of Geeks podcast. And you can also find me on Facebook and our website at www.theleagueofgeeks.com, and that's geeks with a Z.
Very good. Very good. And Jonathan, where can they find you?
You can find me at JEBell49er. That's my personal Twitter, but there's also, you can follow me at Radio Free Indoor. Both me and Nikki use that, and then at Radio Ramen, both me and Michael use that one. So just follow me those 3 Twitters.
Cool. And Jack?
At J1Grosky, WENGROSKY, as in Yankee.
Nice. And then you can follow me at R Southgate or the company at SMG Pods. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. For the Nuff Said podcast, I am rototilling Rob Southgate.
Jousting Jack Wendrowski.
Jolting Jonathan.
The amazing Alil.
Oh, and that you all are. That's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Nuff said.
Enough said.
Enough said.
Enough said.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.